Hey everybody, welcome back to another video, and today we're talking about the news story that Republicans are freaking out about regarding the classified documents that were found at President Biden's office in November. This news was just released yesterday, and if you're not familiar, classified documents from Biden's time as vice president were found at a private office last fall. And of course, Republicans are freaking out about this because of Donald Trump's classified documents case, and they're asking, why isn't Biden being treated the same? Why did Biden not commit a crime, but Donald Trump apparently did? The simple answer is that there are some very important differences between the Biden classified document story and the Trump classified document story. So let's talk about those differences. And at the end, we're going to look at why it's likely that Donald Trump committed a crime, but President Biden didn't. So first and foremost, and very importantly, Donald Trump had more documents of varying classification degrees. At President Biden's office, they only found around 10 classified documents that he wasn't supposed to have. Whereas in Donald Trump's case, he had more than 300 documents with varying levels of classification markings at Mar-a-Lago. So 10 and 300 is a massive difference. Here's a list of just some of the documents that were found at Donald Trump's house. This is not even the full list. And as you can see, a lot of classified documents were found at his house. You have one document with a secret classification marking. You have 2 documents with a confidential classification marking. You have 15 documents with secret classification markings and 7 with top secret classification markings. So already on this first page, Donald Trump has far outbeaten Biden in having classified documents at his house. So yeah, just in the sheer number of documents that each person had, there's a massive difference. And of course, also legally, that matters a lot. Okay, so on to the next difference that's also very important. The FBI was not involved in retrieving Biden's documents. Now, before Republicans freak out saying, why was the FBI involved in Donald Trump's case but not Biden's, there's obviously a reason for this. In Biden's case, the material was found accidentally. The material was identified by Biden's personal attorneys on November 2nd of 2022. The documents were discovered when Mr. Biden's personal attorneys were, quote, packing files housed in a locked closet to prepare to vacate office space at the Penn Biden Center in Washington, D.C. The documents were contained in a folder that was in a box with other unclassified papers, the sources said. So they stumbled upon these documents by accident. They weren't being requested by the National Archives, the Department of Justice, or the FBI like they were in Donald Trump's case. Unfortunately, it's very common in government that documents get lost or misplaced or forgotten about, and it seems that that was the case with President Biden. Additionally, even the National Archives themselves said that Biden having these documents was likely just a mistake. But with Donald Trump, that was obviously not the case. Him and his lawyers acknowledged that they had classified documents, they just refused to give them back to the National Archives, but we'll talk about that in a second. But on the contrast, of course the FBI was involved with Donald Trump. They were requesting documents, he was refusing to give them back, and the FBI had reason to believe that Donald Trump did have these documents. So they went to a judge, they got a search warrant, they searched his house, and what do you know? He had classified documents that he wasn't supposed to have. In Donald Trump's case, the FBI had reason to believe that Donald Trump committed a crime, whereas in President Biden's case, they had no reason to believe that. Okay, now for the final and possibly most important difference in this entire case, President Biden's team alerted the National Archives and the Department of Justice quickly. In fact, on the same day that President Biden's attorneys found the classified documents in his office, they immediately notified the National Archives, and then the National Archives notified the Department of Justice, which is required by law. As you can see here, the president's personal attorneys have cooperated with the archives and the Department of Justice in a process to ensure that any Obama-Biden administration records are appropriately in the possession of the archives. In fact, President Biden learned about the presence of the documents when his lawyers reported them to the White House counsel's office. So he did not even know they were there, and he learned through his lawyers. And of course, to finish it off, according to National Security lawyer Bradley P. Moss, he said Biden's team did exactly what you're supposed to do. Now, of course, Donald Trump's case is totally different. First and foremost, when the National Archives and the Department of Justice and the FBI requested that Donald Trump give the documents back, he resisted. For months, they had reached out to him to give these documents back over, and he said no. Not only did he say no, but his lawyers said no, and his team said no. They simply would not comply with the National Archives order, and that's what led to the search of Mar-a-Lago. Even as the White House counsel was saying to Donald Trump that he should return the documents, he refused. So while Biden's team operated quickly to get the documents back, Donald Trump's team and himself obviously did not do the same. Now, here's why it's likely that Donald Trump committed a crime, but President Biden didn't. As I mentioned earlier, Bradley P. Moss is a national security lawyer, and he told Insider that so far this story looks like a routine matter with no allegation of criminal wrongdoing. And discussing this, he says the reason Donald Trump is in criminal jeopardy right now isn't just because of the documents being improperly stored, it was the obstruction. That is why it has gotten to the point it has, where we're looking at the real possibility of a criminal indictment. And that's the difference. President Biden and his team immediately gave the documents back. Whereas Donald Trump and his team, according to the Department of Justice, likely concealed and removed documents to block their investigation. That is a crime. That is obstruction of justice. And that is on top of the other laws that Donald Trump potentially broke. So yes, of course, President Biden should not have been in the possession of classified documents that he shouldn't have had. But given the circumstances, you really cannot compare Biden's story to Donald Trump's story. Donald Trump's story was far more nefarious, whereas President Biden and his team did everything that they were supposed to do. Those are the key differences, and if a Republican ever tries to bring up this story, make sure to send him this video. That's gonna wrap it up for today, folks. I really hope you enjoyed the video. This is a very important topic, so I really wanted to talk about this. Once again, I really thank you guys for your amazing support. It means so much to me. And if you could like, comment, and subscribe, I would really appreciate that. And once again, whether you like me or you dislike me, have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you folks soon.